Around 5,300 years ago, a pivotal figure in human history, viewed as the inaugural pharaoh of the first dynasty, established the unified Egypt. This mighty empire dominated the world for 3 millennia. The roots of Egyptian civilization can be traced back to the Great Lakes region and southern Africa, areas referred to as Tanger, God's land, in ancient Egyptian terms. Here, modern humans made their appearance approximately 300,000 years ago, and the earliest components of civilization, including mathematics, astronomy, and religion, were conceived by Africans at the dawn of humankind. Inheriting this rich legacy, the Anu people, recognized as the first human beings, traversed down the Nile from the Great Lakes, establishing their presence in Sudan and pioneering agriculture. In Sudan, they crafted the earliest settlements around 13,000 years ago, laying the foundation for the pharaonic civilization. Progressing further down the Nile, the Anu people eventually made their home in Egypt. Approximately 5,500 years ago, minerals transported by the river from the sacred region of the Great Lakes amassed to form a land in northern Egypt, known today as Delta. Although Africans initially settled in Delta, their stay was brief, interrupted by an invasion from white Asians. This invasion harshly subjugated the Kamtiu, Egyptians, forcing them to retreat. This event marked the beginning of unending wars, as southern kings and northern foreigners continually battled for control over this newfound region. Around 5,300 years ago, the rulers of the cities Nekab, Nubit, Nekhen, Yeb, and Abju resolved to bring an end to discord and assembled in Negada in southern Egypt. They unanimously selected Narmer, the king of Nekhen and the most prominent southern king, to bring the delta under the pharaonic reign, thus achieving the full unification of north and south. Menihoro Narmari Chao, the child of Queen Sesh and King Serkhet Horo Ka, was born shortly after the advent of writing approximately 5,400 years ago. Armed with a profound understanding of his civilization and history, he accomplished his monumental task of unification. This significant tale is inscribed on Narmari's tablet, presently housed in the Cairo Museum. The tablet, adorned with illustrations of bulls at the top, signifies the advanced astronomical knowledge possessed by the Africans, which originated from the Great Lakes and southern Africa. Upon observing the Earth's axis, one notices it is tilted at an angle of 23 degrees from the North Pole to the South Pole. The Earth not only completes a rotation on its axis in 24 hours and orbits the Sun in 365 days, but it also spins in relation to the Sun with this axial tilt in a 25,920-year cycle. This comprehensive 25,920-year rotation is termed the precession of the equinox, segmented into 12 parts that Europeans later referred to as the zodiac. The Sun, perceived as God's messenger, is accompanied by 12 entities, which Christians later named disciples in their religious narratives. Each zodiac segment spans 2,160 years, that is, 25,920 divided by 12. The era of Narmer was identified as the Bull Era, hence the depiction of bulls on his tablet marking the time of Egypt's unification. Presently, we inhabit the Fish Era, predicted to conclude in the year 2100. The king wears Hedjet, the white crown of southern Egypt, whose origin is traced back to Sudan. As an authentic African, he wears a fabric similar to what is worn by the peoples from Kenya and Ethiopia. He carries a talisman bag on his chest. He has a bull tail put around his waist. Behind him, his servant holds a kettle and his sandals. The king comes to perform his ablutions and is now barefooted in the sacred place to execute a sacrifice. As a historical reference, it is worth noting that in Africa, ablutions and barefootedness in a sacred place existed 4,000 years before widespread adoption of Islam. The king's enemies are executed and one can see their life breath, Ja'am Ankh, escaping from their nostrils and taken by a sparrow symbolizing Horus, deity equivalent to Pharaoh in religion. By sacrificing some lives to Horus, Narmer reinforced the pharaonic power. The king had just achieved victory over Lower Egypt, dealing punishment to several white individuals from Asia. 10 beheaded figures appear on the right side of the tablet, representing the defeated, abominable, as referred to by the Egyptians. Following this triumph, Narmer donned the desheret, the red crown of Lower Egypt. In his hand, he wields the nakaka, a tool symbolizing his power to banish evil spirits. This object is analogous to the fly whisk, held by nearly all African kings. Before him strides his Jadi, or prime minister, a woman whose name has been lost to history. Her strategic organization of pharaonic power enabled its durable reign for 3 millennia. Preceding her, 4 servants are depicted, each bearing a totem and standard. The initial 3 totems symbolize southern Egypt and Sudan, while the final, newly introduced one represents the freshly conquered northern Egypt. Hence, the king brought the nation under his dominion through warfare. Following the southern pharaohs, he became the inaugural pharaoh of unified Egypt around the year 1000 of our esteemed African era. He was the first to adorn both the white and red crowns, symbolizing his unified rule over the northern and southern realms. He is known as Heneshimau Mehu, sovereign of the north and south, and Sabiti, the southern king who vanquished the north, and Nebtai, master of both lands. Narmer's 62-year rule was characterized by the country's significant militarization. He established Men-Nefur, Memphis, at the confluence of Upper and Lower Egypt. The city, named after him as Menes, emerged as the capital of the north, while Nekhen continued to be the southern capital. He fortified Men-Nefur to thwart further invasions. Inheriting partial control of the Near East from his predecessors, he strengthened his hold in Gaza, populated by his black brethren, the Kinanu people, the Canaanites. He bequeathed a robustly united and fortified nation to his successors, laying the foundation for Egypt's global dominance for 3 millennia. His legacy helped in civilizing Asia, America, and ultimately Europe. The names Nare and Mari continue to be common in West Africa, particularly in Mali and Burkina Faso. For instance, the father of Sundiata Keita, the renowned founder of the Mali Empire in the 13th century, was named Nare Magan Kanadi. Sundiata Keita himself was called Mari Jata Kanadi. The African name, Mari, actually translates to loved in the Pharaonic language. As we reflect on Narmer's epic, let us remember not just a king, not just a conqueror, but a visionary whose insights into unity, defense, and harmony sealed a legacy that transcends time.